This is Sunday Night Live, the weekly online television magazine programme for Christians across the UK, where this week we hear from MP Tim Farron on how he balances faith and politics. In National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, enough is enough. And the stress of working at the sharp end from a nurse in a respiratory high dependency unit. Hello again from me, Pam Rhodes, with plenty to share with you on this week's edition of Sunday Night Live. Something for everyone, I hope. And here we are with the end of January already in sight and the year of 2022 well underway. So it seems a good chance to think back on the challenging times of recent months and look forward to what we hope will be better, more settled times ahead. And that is the theme taken up by the All Souls Choir and Orchestra at one of their prom praise concerts from the Royal Albert Hall, with a crowd of 6,000 Christians raising their voices to give thanks to their Lord for the years. Tim Farron is well known to Premier Christian Radio listeners because he's joined our team of presenters with a series of his own. But across the country, he is known as an MP who always speaks up for what he believes in, putting his principles as a Christian into caring and practical action. Here's Tim.
Hello, I'm Tim Farron. I'm the Member of Parliament for Westmoreland and Lonsdale up in the Lake District. Once upon a time, I was the Liberal Democrat Party leader, and I, most importantly, present a show on Premier Radio. It's called A Mucky Business. It's a podcast too. Where does the phrase a mucky business come from? Well, I joined the Liberals, got involved in politics when I was 16, and at 18 I became a Christian. A few months later at university, a friend of mine in the Christian Union took me to one side. He kind of rebuked me. He said, "Tim, why are you involved in politics as a Christian? It's a mucky business." I can't remember what my response was to him then, but I know in the years that have followed, I have thought about it quite a lot. Is politics a mucky business? Of course it is. And so's everything else since the fall. Every profession, every pastime, every hobby, every vocation. But I think that people who are Christians should engage with politics. You don't need to join a party, put a rosette on, stand for Parliament, but we shouldn't be scared of it. And my experience is that too many Christians are scared of it. There are two, I think, temptations that we face as Christians when it comes to that mucky, scary business of politics. One is to blend in. I think at times that's been my temptation, to just lose your saltiness and not be obedient and just, fit in with your surroundings so you don't offend anybody. And the other temptation is to hide away. In other words, just to try and keep yourself pure, very scared of politics, very nervous of it, and just keep yourself away from it altogether. I think that's dangerous also because it means two things happen. First, it means that we don't have much impact on the world around us. And secondly, it means we're not as informed about the world around us as perhaps we might be. So how should Christians think about politics? I want to just say two things again. And the first is this: don't panic. What do I mean by that? Well, look, when you look at the book of Revelation, you see that there's reference throughout it to imagery invoking Babylon. Why mention Babylon when Babylon had been in rubble for hundreds and hundreds of years by the time that Revelation was written? Well, wiser people than me will say that it's perhaps because those first early Christians who read Revelation the first time round, they were under the jackboot of a very real live empire, the Roman Empire. And perhaps references to Babylon were about reminding first century Christians that that terrifying real live empire of Rome would go the same way as Babylon. It would end up as rubble. And it did. And so will every other human ideology, empire, election result, referendum result, movement, whatever you can think of, it'll all end in rubble. Only one kingdom will last forever. And that means we know that all these things, however delightful to us politically or terrifying to us politically, they're temporary. So don't panic. But the second thing I want to say is that you should care. I believe we should deeply care. And the reference that I always am moved by, and which makes me think that we really should enter in, is from the Bible, is the story, the account, the raising of Lazarus. Remember, there's Jesus with Lazarus's two bereft, grief-stricken sisters, Mary and Martha. He's grief-stricken himself. Surely he knows he's the Son of God. He knows he's going to raise Lazarus. He's not pretending because there's nothing inauthentic about Jesus. And yet there he is, not just shrugging it off, going, "Oh, come on, girls, just watch what I've got up on my sleeve. I'll be sorting this out in a minute or two." No, he's not like that. He enters into the grief, and clearly he's Jesus, so he's not faking. And what does he do? He is moved deeply. I'm told by, again, more wise people than me that that's a poor translation, a weak translation. It's almost animalistic, the rage that he bellows out as he approaches the tomb, furious at death, utterly, utterly heartbroken on his own behalf and on behalf of Mary, Martha and everyone else there. He enters in. Yes, we know it's going to end well. Yes, we know God is in control, but we enter into the now and we do what we can where we have been placed. So don't panic, but do care deeply. If politics affects everyone in every part of life, and it does, whether it could be justice, whether it be health or education or a whole range of other matters, we can't really love our neighbour if we aren't bothered about the thing that affects our neighbour, which is why I think we should care about politics and why we should make sure that we get involved one way or another. Now, that doesn't mean, as I said earlier on, that you should pin a rosette on and go knocking on doors or join a political party or, still worse, stand for Parliament. But I think you should be informed. I think we should be paying attention to the issues of our day and praying about them and praying about the people at the heart of politics, be they Christians or not, lifting them up, asking for wisdom for them. If somebody was sick at your church, or rather their wife was sick, maybe you'd ask what her name was and what was wrong with her, and then you could pray for her in an informed way. The same applies for our country, for our nation, for our world when it comes to politics. Let's find out what the issues are, who the people are, and pray for them. So I just want to encourage you, get your hands dirty, get your heart broken. When it comes to politics, don't panic, but do care, and care deeply.
2 years of living with the pandemic has been hard for everyone, but toughest of all for the NHS professionals who have been facing a roller coaster of challenges that have left them physically exhausted and emotionally drained. But thousands of them, doctors, medical students, nurses and midwives, have been finding support and encouragement through the Christian Medical Fellowship, CMF, which for 70 years has been uniting and equipping Christians in the medical world to live and speak for Christ. Professionals like Esther Chesavet, who has certainly been at the sharp end in her role throughout this COVID crisis.
Hi, I'm Esther and I'm a Christian nurse working in a respiratory high dependency unit. As many people know, healthcare workers are under immense pressure. Even before the pandemic, the NHS felt like a pressure cooker with staff and resources very stretched and high rates of stress and burnout. Since the pandemic began, it's felt like the pressure cooker has just been turned up a few notches, with new challenges being put on top of the existing ones. It's easy to question how those of us working in this pressured system can keep going. The distance that we've all been forced to feel throughout the pandemic also makes caring harder, whether that's through PPE, over the phone, or at 2 meters distance. The current challenge this January is the transmissibility of this Omicron COVID variant, which, although fortunately isn't having as severe clinical impact on individuals, the case numbers are so high among staff, it's leaving us even more short-staffed than ever. For Christians working in healthcare, these challenges surround us too. We're not immune from the stress, pressure, risk, and uncertainty. We walk alongside our colleagues and the patients and families we care for, and our challenge is to continue to fix our eyes on Jesus, the only ultimate hope and light in a lot of darkness. We're regularly exposed to suffering, trauma, sorrow and death, amidst clouds of despair and exhaustion from our colleagues. We face real life and death questions and complex ethical issues, and many healthcare workers struggle to embed into church communities while working irregular shift patterns, missing Sundays or small group nights, so please be mindful of them and reach out to them during the week. Would you pray that we as Christian healthcare workers would not be sucked into the atmosphere of despair and hopelessness, but remember to stop, to pray, to hope, and to transform the narrative? Would you pray for those who are feeling the weariness of this season, whose faith is being tested as they grapple with God's goodness and faithfulness? For me, it has been a challenging journey over the last couple of years, looking after many patients extremely unwell with COVID, dependent on ventilators, often very anxious and feeling very alone in isolated rooms. Through the COVID waves, there have also been waves of anxiety, uncertainty, high rates of mortality, and just exhaustion. However, it remains a special and privileged role to care for people and serve them at their most vulnerable, to journey with them and their families holistically and build relationships. But I need God's strength to face each day, to be able to go and be his hands and feet and his words to those that I meet. This is why I love being involved with CMF, the Christian Medical Fellowship, which exists to unite and equip Christian healthcare workers to live and speak for Jesus. We're transformed by the good news of Jesus and seek to transform the situations and systems around us by connecting and empowering Christians in the workplace. Through local, national and global connections, we walk alongside each other throughout our careers, resource one another pastorally and practically, and seek to promote Christ and his values in the healthcare arena. CMF reminds me that I can only give out because of what God has given out for me, the ultimate cost in Jesus paying for my salvation. Without him, I run out very quickly, both physically and emotionally. We need daily rest, renewal, and reminders of truth. Deep breaths before entering work, to be filled with the Spirit, to know the mercy that we've been shown, and to have strength to keep going, to love the unlovely and be a voice for the voiceless. And CMF reminds me that each and every person that I care for has innate dignity and value because they reflect their Creator God. If you're a Christian healthcare worker, please join our growing fellowship. Visit cmf.org.uk to get involved.
Well, as Esther said, prayer support is vital for those working in all aspects of medicine and the wider care that is needed during this pandemic. So let's hear now a new blessing for today, written by composer Thomas Hewitt-Jones, who went along to St Stephen's Church in South Dulwich to hear it sung for the first time, with its message of love, kindness and care for others.
As a composer, there's nothing as exciting as hearing your music for the first time. Today I've come to St Stephen's Church in South Dulwich, where Director of Music and great friend of mine, Oliver Lallemont, is about to sing through a new blessing I've just finished writing with his choir, which is about to be published. This new blessing is a little evocation for our lifetime, a call for peace, fairness and equality in today's complicated world. The human experience would be so much happier if justice, fairness and equality were the norm. And I've written this directly into the new text of this piece, while also confronting directly some other wider issues that I feel are very relevant today. By releasing this new blessing, my main aim is to draw attention to the fact that love, kindness and looking after your neighbour are in many ways more relevant today than they ever were.
Last weekend, we marked the writing 250 years ago of the hymn Amazing Grace by John Newton, who made his living for many years as a sea captain transporting a cargo of human misery, slaves being trafficked across the globe to be bought and sold. And so it is shocking to see that 3 centuries later, the statistics today for human trafficking and slavery are higher than ever. From the charity One by One, here's Becky Murray.
January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Did you know that the chances of someone falling victim to a human trafficking scheme is actually far greater than most people are aware of? The truth is, human trafficking is an issue that knows no borders. It can affect absolutely anyone, anywhere. And globally, there are more people trapped in slavery today than at any other time in history. It's estimated that 40.3 million people are in modern day slavery. 16.3 million are in forced labour. 15.4 million are forced into marriages where they hadn't given consent to that. 4.8 million are in forced sexual exploitation, and 3.8 million are experiencing domestic servitude in private homes. As you can see from those statistics, 40% of all modern day slavery is forced labour, and that's why One by One wants to work in this area. Many people around the world are beginning to rise up and use their voice to speak against this injustice.
I'm Larissa Heath.
My name is Dr. John Andrews.
I'm Helen Roberts.
My name's Doug Williams.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell.
My name's Katie.
I'm Ashley Driggs.
My name is Bruce Dyer.
My name is Marcella.
My name is Janine.
My name is Don Sanderson.
This is Dr. Sandy Kirk.
I'm Abby Jarman.
Did you know that this month is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month?
Did you know that it is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month?
This month is Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
We want to raise our voice to speak up
for those who are exploited around the world.
To say enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough's enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
So I am standing with One by One.
We are standing with One by One.
I'm standing with One by One.
We're standing with One by One.
And I'm standing with One by One.
Because I want to see an end to exploitation.
You can find out more online.
Onebyone.net.
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 For more information.
We are in it to end it. How? By all of us working together. Join with the One by One movement and use your voice to talk about human trafficking. Why not check out onebyone.net for more information about how you can be involved and use your voice to make a stand. Truly, enough is enough.
Still to come on Sunday Night Live, what does the chaplain at the huge Hinkley Point power station need most? A dog collar and a hard hat. And across the generations, how the old and the young can be very good company for each other. It's great to have on our team film researcher Krishkan Dyer, who takes a look from a Christian point of view at new releases heading towards our cinemas here in the UK very soon. Now this week he's reporting on a film which puts the spotlight on the big business of evangelism in the United States, The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Hi everybody, it's Krishkan Dyer here, and I want to tell you about a brand new film called The Eyes of Tammy Faye. It's got an incredible star lineup. You've got Jessica Chastain, she's playing Tammy Faye. You might know her from such films as Zero Dark 30, Interstellar, she was fabulous in that, and Molly's Game with Idris Elba. And she has this incredible transformation, both with her voice and with her physical appearance. So she really looks and sounds like Tammy Faye Baker. And her husband is played by Andrew Garfield. Yes, the same Andrew Garfield who was in Hacksaw Ridge. Andrew Garfield that was in Silence. Andrew Garfield who's been in the latest Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. And I think is the star of the show, to be honest. That Andrew Garfield, he plays Jim Baker. And that name should send shivers down your spine because Jim Baker had this incredibly large television network called Praise the Lord. It had 20 million, some say, 20 million people were tuning in from around the world to hear a mix of preaching and talk shows and cooking demonstrations. And it had this massive audience. Well, it wouldn't take much Googling to know that Jim Bakker's life ended with ignominy, because he was exploiting this huge network for personal gain. It was all about the money-grabbing televangelist. And we get to see the story through the eyes of Tammy Faye. And you might think, well, why would I want to go see a film about something so tragic and actually something so dark? I would say there are two reasons you should go and see this film. The first is it offers a window. Many people, this is their perception of the Christian faith. It's all about money and a kind of subculture that's just looking after its own. It's got people getting mega rich. You could probably name some very, very famous, very, very rich celebrity televangelists that are still out there, and they think that's normal. And so seeing the world through the eyes of people that's what they think of the church is important for us, so that when we are trying to communicate, we know what we're up against. We know how far away from the genuine Christian faith these people really are, and we need to distance ourselves from them, and we need to find a way to articulate the gospel in such a way that no one is thinking this is a horrible exploitative thing. We need to understand the background noise before people can engage with the Christian faith. So it offers a window. But I think the film also offers a mirror. One of the powerful things you see is this young couple, really sincere and earnest. They know their Bibles really well. They can probably quote chapter and verse in a way that you and I can't. And their intention is to help many people, particularly children, encounter the gospel through music and puppets and television. It's really creative. But you see the kind of gradual unfolding of that vision and it being replaced by something else, greed and ambition and desire. And I think because there have been so many recent celebrity Christian failures, whether that's Mark Driscoll or Bill Hybels or probably worst of all, Ravi Zacharias, we need to recognise that none of us are immune from those kind of temptations. It's always there, but for the grace of God go I. And so watching how things unfold can be a helpful mirror to ourselves. Are we, in a small way, none of us probably running a television network, but are we in danger of our faith, our genuine faith in God, being eroded and being strangled by these other concerns? So I think it could be a really helpful thing to watch as a mirror. So a window to understand how other people see Christianity and a mirror back to ourselves. There are some really insightful things, particularly you'll see Tammy Faye waking up to the way that some Christian groups are so condemnatory about other groups of people, and she offers something really challenging, particularly about how LGBT people are going to be treated by the church. So there's some powerful things in there too. I think it's a hard watch, it's worth watching, and I hope it will help you understand how other people see the Christian faith and hold a mirror back to how we need to avoid falling into the same traps. See you soon.
It's always good to hear from Louise Moores from the Pilgrim's Friends Society, but I have to say she has got a touch of the January blues. Dark nights, chilly days, and no twinkling Christmas lights to cheer her up. Here's Louise.
You'll be pleased to know that we've passed the most depressing time of the winter. A professor worked out that Blue Monday was January the 17th because we're living through dark days, short days, and the sparkle of Christmas is gone. The good news is that the days are lengthening, the nights are getting shorter, and we have Easter to look forward to. And good things are happening. For the last couple of years, we've been at war with the coronavirus, and being at war changes a society's values. After the Second World War, we saw the introduction of the National Health Service for a start, and the huge benefits that that has brought us. One thing we've changed is that we've seen that carers, either private carers in their own homes or carers in residential care homes, have unique human skills that they bring to their jobs. They are valued. and they're seen as important. We've also seen during COVID an outbreak of kindness, wellsprings of kindness, springing up all over the place. And we saw older and younger people working together to benefit each other. It was quite remarkable. In fact, 2 Wales commissioners, one for the old and one for the younger, said that every generation is playing their part in helping us get through this. It's crucial that we are united. Together we are stronger. Together we will get through this. And so we are. So I'm asking myself, and perhaps you're asking yourself, what sort of society do we want to see now? What attributes do we want to pull forward into today from what we've learned over the last 2 years? What I'd like to see is a society that mirrors the culture that there was in both the Old and the New Testaments, where older people and younger people were valued for their different roles, that they brought a balance to society. In the Passion Translation, Proverbs 20:29 says, "We admire the young for their strength and beauty, but the dignity of the old is their wisdom." Grey hair is a symbol of wisdom. And where this does happen today, we see enormous benefits. There's just a few I'm going to mention now. The editor of Premier's Christianity magazine once wrote that it was the love and care of the older people in his church that helped him hang on to his faith and emerge through his turbulent adolescent years when many often lose their faith. And we see it in our care homes. Pilgrim's Friend Society has 9 care homes and housing schemes. We see it in church groups, young church groups who will come in and have their meeting with the older people. We see it in a school where school children came in and the old and the young taught each other different craft skills. They taught themselves how to knit, how to crochet, how to sew, and they produced wall hangings that went around the home, and everybody loved it. Last year, my charity, the Pilgrim's Friend Society, commissioned a survey from Savanta Comres that looked at the emerging attitudes of old and young. It was surprising. They found that the majority of older people really valued the friendship of the young, their energy and their enthusiasm. But they found that 32% of younger people felt that they were undervalued by the older generation, which is extraordinary, the misunderstanding. So we have launched a new initiative, a social media initiative called #FriendshipIsAgeless. The aim is to have people talking about how they are bringing the different generations together, how it works for them. There's a church in Cambridge, for example, that organises special interest groups that attract all ages. There's also a point of things that you can do, and you'll find this on our website, which is pilgrims.org.uk/friendship. Do bring us your ideas, tell us your stories, so we can all move together into the culture that God approves of.
The nuclear power industry in this country had never considered having a chaplain until the Reverend Ewan Huffman took up his role at Britain's largest and newest nuclear facility, Hinkley Point. Now, this is a job he clearly loves, not only because it gives him the chance to take God's love and care to a huge and very busy workforce, but because his own career path had set him up well.
I used to be an electronics engineer. I think it's one of the reasons I fit well here. I'm kind of a geek, a nerd. I'm an engineer. I love being with engineers. They are not complex. Compared to the church, it is really quite simple working with these people. And I was in electronics research in the lab. Everyone takes the mickey out of you because you're a Christian. But when the chips are down, they come to you. Will you pray for this and that or that? And that was part of what led me into Christian service. I thought maybe I should do this more. The people are tough, but that doesn't mean the context is tough. And what I've come to realise is you can't judge a book by its cover, you know. Some of these guys are really tough on the outside because actually they've got good, kind hearts. People are the same, whatever work they're in, whatever they look like. And I think it's fair to say prejudicially, some of the biggest guys are some of the softest. So I really love it. It's worked so well for reasons that I can't fully put my finger on. I guess it's God's guidance, isn't it? We were all a bit nervous before I started, January 2020. How is the spiritual world and the construction world going to meet? Will they collide? But then COVID hit. We've done really well here with it on site. And after that, and actually I did some ceremonies on site, everyone was kind of saying, well, good idea of mine it was to have the chaplain, wasn't it? So I've been really well accepted. And it's easy for us Christians to say, well, nobody loves us, nobody accepts us, we're discriminated against. Well, that's not my experience. People have been phenomenally accepting of me and my role in spirituality. It doesn't mean they're all asking, what must I do to be saved? But they're more than tolerant of me and my faith. They're actually very affectionate of somebody who believes in something. I would say lots of people don't know what they believe, but I've done an alpha course here. We had 16 people start it, 14 people finish it, and all changed in one way or another. And I've been given such a platform, so I can't really put my finger on why. I think because of one guy who was a site director who said, I want this. I want people to be cared for. The whole person. We have a medical centre to care for them. We have mental health first aiders. We've got over 300 of them. I'm one of them. But I'm slightly different, motivated to other mental health first aiders. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not in it for myself or my needs. I'm not saying I don't have any, but I'm motivated by the love of Christ. And one of the directors said, no, I want this and I'm willing to back this. So what am I? I'm a flagstaff. I'm a banner on a hill. And I think because I walk around with a shirt on, if you're listening on the radio, I've got a chaplain shirt on. I think it kind of reminds some people like, oh, I used to believe something. I used to have a faith. Chaplain, can I talk to you? Well, they often swear at me in the nicest of ways. I'm telling you, I've got bigger fish to fry than people's language on a site like this. I want to be there where the issues are, where their needs are. And people have had bereavements in COVID. I've talked about lament rather than just celebrating victories all the time. We haven't had any on site, but I've done ceremonies for people. I'm not a religious chaplain, but we've got a ceremony going on back home. Can you do something with me, for me? And I said, I'll do exactly what you want. We'll tailor it just for you. So I'm a flagstaff to remind people about faith. And it's fascinating where I sit when I'm doing admin in the North office. There are something like 9 Christians close to me now. And it's not because I've been involved in them finding faith. A couple of them, yes, but I don't know. They just seem to be springing up. And it becomes a bit more normal for there to be faith on site. And we're not ashamed of it. We have prayer together around the site 3 times a day. We do Celtic liturgy from the Northumbria community. Just give you an example of toughness. I always go for the alpha male. If you get in with the alpha males, you get in with everybody else. And I was upset on site. This is a couple of months ago now, because I'm still worshipping at the church I used to lead, Creech St. Michael Baptist Church outside Taunton. And somebody in the congregation had died, one of the girls who we knew was going to die in her teenage years, but I was really cut up about it because she changed our church, to be honest. And I was a bit tearful in the canteen, and these huge blokes who normally you'd run a mile go, "You all right, mate?" And I said, "Well, I'm not actually. I'm a bit cut up because of Iona, is her name." And I was a bit tearful. And they broke regs, actually, don't tell anybody. They put their arm around me. "Oh, mate, I've got a daughter of that age. I know. My friend lost so-and-so." So here's the chaplain who's supposed to be comforting others, comforted by the two biggest Geordie lads you can find on site. Don't judge a book by its cover, you know. What a thrill for me to be here. Any other things I need to say? So what am I? I'm a rallying point. I'm a flagstaff on a hill. I'm a listening ear to people. I'm a mirror. I reflect back to them. I pray with people if it's appropriate. If they have to ask me. I do wish at times I would like to say, gosh, if only I could really tell you what would give you life and solve all your problems. Well, not all your problems, you know what I mean. Because people aren't looking for Jesus, they're looking for well-being. But Christ helps our well-being, doesn't he? So I respond as is appropriate to people's questions. I do ask them, do you have any faith? Sometimes I say, I'll be praying for you if you're comfortable with that. And if they are giving tells that show they're comfortable with us, I could pray with you now if you want. And strangely, some of the least Christian people want you to pray with them then and there. Hey, the faith of the unbeliever. So it's fascinating. It's a marvellous place to be. They work phenomenally hard here. They get paid well, but it is such hard work. And if I ever pop into your mind, or the construction industry ever pops into your mind, would you pray for us? The people here will find true living faith in the true God through Jesus Christ, his Son, who is the desire of all nations and the desire of every heart, even if they don't know it. Right, I better go. I've been far too long. Bye-bye, and God bless you all.
Well, what a fascinating job Ewan has. It's been great to hear about it as we come almost to the end of this week's edition of Sunday Night Live, which I hope you've enjoyed. And if you have got any thoughts or comments that you'd like to share, well, you can find out how to get in touch with us at the end of the programme. But now Ewan is back again to draw us all together in prayer. And from me, Pam Rhodes, I hope you have a good week ahead. Hope you'll be back to join me. And I do wish you every blessing till then. Bye-bye now.
Pray for you now that the Lord may bless you and he may keep you and he may make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. I pray that the Lord may look on you with favour and give you his peace, and that he will take into his loving arms and put his hands on everything that you are, everything that you own, everything that you love, everything that you touch, everything that you are concerned about. May he lift and carry your burdens as you look to him as the most important thing in your life. Lord, would you bless us most of all with your presence. We need you. If we don't have you, we have nothing to give others, and we have no strength in such a needy world. Above all else, Lord, give us yourself and your peace, which is evidence of the presence of God. So may the peace of God, which passes all understanding, guard and keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and his lovely Holy Spirit be upon you, remain with you and your loved ones this day and always. Amen.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his upon his shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything. No gifts, no power, no wisdom. But I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure.
And if you've enjoyed Sunday Night Live, don't forget to press the subscribe and like buttons so that your device will offer you future editions each week, and recognise that this is a programme of interest to you and others.